I'm Rob Wheely, and I'm the CEO of Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists. We're the world's largest provider of wheel refinishing, remanufacturing, and wheel replacement. My dad was a car enthusiast, always working on cars of his own and new projects. That passed down to me, and it still grows with me today. Wheels have become the jewelry of the car. People want their wheels to look nice. We provide basic refinishing of wheels. We have remanufacturing facilities that provide extensive repair. We also have put all of our processes through an independent facility that's accredited. You can find those certifications on our website. We do it all. You bring your wheel to us and we'll figure it out. We strive for not just customer service experience, but customer excellence. We want to wow them so they come back each and every time. All of our technicians are trained and certified. We even have a master training course. It's important to love what you do. It's important to make employees feel a part of the team, and they're seeing the same rewards as you do. That's what helps us accomplish our goal. Everybody's our customer. The retail public, dealerships, body shops, insurance companies, warranty companies. We have a claims department. We're the ones that they call to come in and repair it. So if you find yourself in need of wheel refinishing, wheel repair, wheel replacement, or if you just want to custom color your wheels, give us a call. We'll help you find the right location, or you can go to our website. There's a locator on there to find the location closest to you.
Hello everybody, welcome into the Lady in Black. We are at Darlington Raceway, getting ready for some action for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. Going to be a fun and a very, very difficult track tonight for the drivers. Let's get right down trackside. Take a look at your starting grid tonight. And as I say starting grid, looks like it's going to give us a little bit of a hassle, so just give me 1 second to make sure I have everything set up correctly, and then we will get down trackside, get ready to go. We'll be right back. All right, there we go. Technical difficulties have been resolved. All right, starting on the pole tonight, the man with 5 wins on the season, JBR E-Racing's Joshua Watson. He will have one of the Team Marble iRacing drivers starting to his outside. Tyler Marble sweeps the outside pole. Scott Naisland 3rd, Austin Fitzgerald in 4th, Jacob Musso 5th. How about Brian Curry? Currently starting 6th for Team Watson Racing. Tracy Powers in 7th. Sean Kaltenbach going to be starting 8th after that insane win that he pulled off last week. We'll see if the momentum carries here tonight. Andrew Nieder 9th. Jerry Isaacs in 10th. Moving back to 11th. It's going to be Andrew Kotska, Cody Richardson, his teammate, to his outside in 12th. Row 7, Bill Benedict and Jeff Marble. Row 8 is going to be Carl Dotson and Alan Pajari. By the way, Austin Fitzgerald, Alan Pajari are new teammates now, both on Dynamic Autosports. We'll talk more about that later in the race. Scott Glasso going to be starting in 17th. Adrian Watson 18th. Brian Conklin 19th. Jared Bundy in 20th. 21st, Cody Colley. 22nd, Johnny McCulchuk. 23rd, Brett Spade. 24th, Ryan Haynes. 25th, Joe Musso. 26th, Cody Matthews. Row 14 is going to be Dave Sanders and Jeffrey Souza in the 96. Good qualifying for him. Danny Gutierrez in 29th. In the 08, it's going to be Brian Watson in 30th. 31st, Jeff Shutt. 32nd, Richard Elliott. 33rd, Joe Owen. 34th, Glenn Grigsby. 36th, Matthew Gearinger. And 37th, last car in the field tonight, is going to be Kyle Oakley. All right, well, we're getting ready to go green. Darlington, quite the interesting track. We'll show you race info in just a moment, but as the pace car dives down to the very interesting and narrow pit road here at Darlington, we are looking for the green flag down the front stretch for the first time. We are green and racing at the Lady in Black. Pretty good start from the 01 of Joshua Watson. We got a lot of throwback schemes in the field tonight, so you may not exactly notice your drivers at first, but we'll make sure we can point them all out. The 01 gets a big lead. You are not going to see a lot of passing opportunities here except from the restarts, but it is so tight and you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. Everybody does a fantastic job getting off of turn 2 clean. Everybody's going to get lined up pretty quick. Not going to have too much racing action. A couple guys going to look for positions on the outside. The 51 checks up for his teammate. In fact, there is 3 of the Mad Sim Racing drivers all together. Andrew Kopska, Jerry Isaacs, and Cody Richardson. Looking up a little bit, Jeff Marble. He's going to have a lot of traffic to work through, but we know he's usually pretty good on the long runs. We'll see what he can do. The pace here at Darlington is already blazing fast. The lap times are going to fall off greatly, though, with tire wear. And speaking of which, looking at the lap time, I mean, they've only ran one so far, but you see it's a 35.3. Let's look at lap 2. I think it'll give you a little bit better description right here. And sure enough, wait for it to update just a second. There you go. And a lot faster there, 29.8, and that's the lap times we're going to see on new tires. I think on old tires, you're going to see that lap time fall off greatly. Maybe over 2 seconds, we'll have to see. What I'm intrigued about right here is Scott Naisland hanging with one of the veterans this early. The 22 going to send it off into turn 3. Darlington, though, you're going to have to save the tires. You don't want to overwork them too early. We'll see what the driver for Hyperforce Esports can do here. A couple people in the chat already. Joe Williamson says, go Danny G. Jonah, no, Chase Elliott is not here yet. But we do have a couple Bill Elliott paint schemes, or at least one in the field tonight, and that is 3rd place running, 2nd place starting, the 48 of Tyler Marble. You may call it a Casey Kane scheme too if you want, but the man that's really running the Casey Kane scheme, man, I don't know why I cannot pronounce that word tonight, is the 95 of Jacob Musso. Boy, that is a really, really nice looking car just behind him. The 28 of Brian Curry. I think we all know what the Home Depot car represents. That's going to be Tony Stewart. How about Austin Fitzgerald in the 74? No throwback for him. Running his usual scheme. Same deal for Sean Kaltenbach. And then 36 of Andrew Nieder has the gear wrench throwback. Pretty good looking scheme there. 51. All the Mad Sim Racing drivers for the most part look like they're going to have their normal paint schemes. And further back to 29 of Carl Dotson as well. You got the 15 rather, excuse me, the Budweiser machine. That looks pretty good. That is Jeff Marble, who usually runs the alloy wheel repair specialist paint scheme, so he's changing it up a little bit here tonight. But up front, the man that has led them all so far is Joshua Watson in the 01, and looks like he is running a Jeff Gordon throwback paint scheme, and we'll see if he can get the win in it. Scott Naisland already getting loose. Let's take a ride around Darlington. Well, I guess before we do that, let's kind of show you what this track looks like here from a race info perspective. It was the Darlington Spring 200. The race tonight is going to be 147 laps in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Everybody's going to have 100% fuel, 3 sets of tires, no fast repairs though, and that is going to be crucial. At a track like Darlington, you know you're going to have guys getting into the wall, and I'm sure we're going to have at least one caution. Keeping your car clean is going to be key to having a shot at winning this race. Open setups, everyone does have 3 green-white checkers if they so need them. Looking more at the actual track, though, Darlington's a little bit different. You see the length, a little bit under half a mile, at 1.3 miles. Track temp very toasty here today at 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Weather outside 80 degrees, 63% humidity, cloudy skies, and wind at 8 miles an hour. So maybe a little bit more tricky than it would be if, you know, we had a cooler track temp and no winds to worry about. But I think these guys are going to handle everything just fine. Scott Naisland hasn't really caught anymore, but he's not gone away either, just kind of stuck where he's at in second. And those two on an island. Further back, everybody else has been separated by over a second or more. Tyler Marble is leading that group. You know, I noticed him when I called out his paint scheme. I did not give this man nearly enough love. Jacob Musso, currently sitting in 4th position for the Musso Speed Shop. I know it's early, but this is by far their best looking run so far, at least for one of their drivers. And they are really looking for a momentum swing here. They've just not had a lot go their way this season, whether it be getting involved in wrecks or anything. And heck, last week at Kansas, we saw a lot of the Mussos with trouble. One of them trying to avoid a spinning Austin Fitzgerald, destroyed the front end. In fact, I believe it was Jacob. He's doing a pretty good job here so far tonight. We'll see if he can continue with it. You see he is about to be on the back bumper of the 48 of Tyler Marble. On that note, let's go back up front to your leader and let's take a ride on board and show you just how interesting this track runs. as he works it back down through 1 and 2. You'll notice turns 1 and 2 at Darlington are a lot wider. I don't know if there's more banking, but it is overall a lot wider than turns 3 and 4 in terms of the radius just isn't as tight. So these guys do run faster through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4. You got to slow down, but 1 and 2 is mainly a one-line set of corners. You kind of have to diamond it. I was curious with it being open setups to see if we'll see anybody get up by the wall, but right now you see your 2 leaders are both running that diamond arc. And that's kind of the line you're trapped to. You see they get out of the corner at about 160, down in the 150s, down the back straightaway. They get all the way up to almost 180 miles an hour, which makes it so ironic that it is indeed under 1.5 miles, very fast speeds. And then 3 and 4, about 10 miles an hour slower as they work their way out of it. But the difference is there's a lot more lines that they can work around in turns 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. And we haven't seen it yet, but I did hear somebody touch the wall there just a little bit. Not sure if that was the 22 of Scott Nason or somebody else. I think he's all right. Take a look at the right side. You will certainly see some Darlington stripes tonight, I can almost guarantee you. And we'll have to make sure we look through that here as we move on. But no stage breaks in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup series, so these guys are all go from the start. Not sure of the exact fuel window. In fact, see if we have any info on that. Usually one of the FastTrack Sim Racing Zone, Johnny McCulchuk, will give us a little info on the fuel, but it looks like he did not this week. But hey, that's all right. We certainly appreciate everything Johnny does, helping us out with that each week. In fact, there is a look at the 72 machine. Normally running the Capital Auto Group paint scheme, not tonight. Pretty good looking 72 car as well. He's trying to get past the 37 of Brian Conklin. He is already up 2 positions from where he started. Looking further ahead, it looks like there has not been a lot of movement through the field. There's been a couple guys surely going in the wrong direction. Not a lot of guys making up a ton of positions. In fact, your biggest mover right now is Richard Elliott. Saw him back out after a big break last week, and here he is again tonight. And it looks like he is running a paint scheme. Oh, and just as we look at him, he's going to get into Cody Colley. Can he save it? The 11 holds on, so does the 2. Caution is out. Not sure if anyone else got into the wreck behind. I think everybody's okay, but tell you what, how about perfect timing? First caution of the night. Adrian Watts, he's going to sneak by it without any incident. In fact, it looks like the 03 is also running a Tony Stewart throwback scheme. All right, we may have had one involved, and it's looking like it might have been Dave Sanders in the 77 car. Looks like maybe some right front of that thing's pretty banged up. Might even have suspension failure on the right front. Can't tell from that speed. Anyway, let's take a look, though, at what happens in this crash. It looked like initially 2 of them saved it, but then at the end of the day, they just could not quite all hold on. Here we go. Let's actually zoom this out just a little bit. And it was interesting. I saw Richard Elliott really send it in there. I'm not sure if he had got a push or what. Oh, he did. Sure enough, he got a huge shot in the back from Dave Sanders. That blew the corner for him. And then those 2 did save it. Wow, that was a heck of a save by both of those drivers. We'll have to take a more focus on that in a minute. And then back here, Dave Sanders, after trying to slow up forward, it looks like the 39 of Ryan Haynes just not really anywhere to go. Hard track to just check up all of a sudden. He gets it to him as well. I don't know if the damage is necessarily night ending on the 39. It's certainly going to be enough to go down pit road and try to get it all fixed, and may have some implications, but I think he'll be okay overall. On the other end of that, Dave Sanders, we talked about it. That was pretty big right front damage. This could bring his night to an end. A couple more views of it here. Watch these 2 in the front. I mean, are you kidding me? Let's go back up. First of all, Richard Elliott, what a save. I mean, I don't know how you hold on to this. Cody Colley as well. They both almost saved him in tandem. All right, here we go. Watch this. Both dead sideways. The 11 maybe just barely skims the wall. Richard Elliott straightens it back out. I think Cody Colley maybe had a slightly harder save to make, and he makes it as well. Oh, my goodness. Stuff these guys can do in the cars here never shorts of amazes me. Never comes short of amazing me, rather, but here's the hit one more time for Dave Sanders. This is going to be a pretty good impact. Boom. Bounces off. I'm surprised nobody else got involved in this. You see the 35 sneaking by the 80 as well, it looks like. Actually, that's the 90. Excuse me. I believe that's Joe Owen, another one of the guys out here a little bit new tonight. Or was that Bill Benedict? No, I think that may have been Joe Owen. Couldn't 100% tell. Actually, it was not. Either way, Joe Owen's in the 5. Not sure who exactly it was, but either way, good job by everybody making it through. We'll take one more final view at this. I want to look at the onboard here of Cody Colley. He was the one with the most wicked save on this. Here we go. Wicked save. He's currently on pit road right now. Dave Sanders, that is. Cody Colley, though, because of that save, him and Richard Elliott both still out on track, and their cars are going to live to fight another lap here at Darlington. Your top 5 as they run: Joshua Watson first, Scott Naisland second, Tyler Marble third, Jacob Musso fourth, Austin Fitzgerald running at the top 5. And in fact, let's go back a little further. 6 is Brian Curry, 7th, Sean Kaltenbach, 8th, Andrew Kotzka, 9th, Tracy Powers, and 10th is going to be Andrew Nieder. Will read out the rest of the field as we get back up and running. Looks like Jonah says, are you still using your Sonic gaming setup? That is actually the thing that Bryce got. And we've had a couple questions before. I guess people may not 100% be able to tell the difference. There is currently 2 broadcasters on Ghost Racing Network. It is me and Bryce. Bryce is the founder and owner of Ghost Racing Network. He is, you'll know it's him if he's got the red logo on the stream. And then I am, well, I call myself the Green Ghost, but overall, all you got to do is call me Austin, and I am the other broadcaster here on Ghost Racing Network. 19 laps in, and speaking of what you would normally see with the logos, I need to bring up the logos there on the top right. Pace car is going to pull off this time, so we are ready to go back green. And heck of a save. All right, here we go. On the backstretch this time, row 1, Joshua Watson, Scott Naisland. Row 2, Tyler Marble, and the 95, Jacob Musso. I'll tell you what, though. Those front 2 fired off fast and stayed fast. Those second 2, kind of the opposite. Tyler Marble, although he ran a really, really good qualifying speed, didn't fire off too fast on that last run. We'll have to see if that swaps around or not. There's a look at Austin Fitzgerald, now teammate to Alan Pajari, both on Dynamic Autosports. See what happens here. All right, pace car pulls off. First caution of the night. This is where things get the most sketchy, though. We'll see if we see any more. We're going to take a look from the blimp cam here, because there's way too much going on this restart that we need to keep an eye on. Green flag back in the air. Joshua Watson gets a good jump. Watch him really send it into turn 1. He knows he needs to get clear. Gets that big arc, diamonds it in, and he is going to indeed get clear further back. Everybody's shuffling for position. This time the 48 of Tyler Marble looks to try to stick it to the 22 of Scott Naisland. Nothing there. He's not going to be able to make it work, but they do stay side by side down the backstretch. Now the 48 is going to yield down into turn 3. I think that's a wise decision. Tyler Marble knows he's got a pretty fast Chevy. No point in overusing your stuff right now. You might need it later in the going, and pretty similar to what we saw on the first restart. Everybody's playing pretty nice here. Richard Elliott's going to make a move there. Looks like by the 98. And looking back a little bit here, let's go back down trackside by the 93. Excuse me. That's Joe Musso. This is another one of my favorite schemes in the field tonight. I think everybody knows Carl Edwards. Throwback to him. There's Cody Colley, who had the wicked save just on that last caution. And Richard Elliott still looking to work to the inside, going back up front. The gap from your leader over Scott Naisland is about 0.3 of a second. And if we do get a long run, this is going to be one of the tracks where it is actually fun to watch those pit stops and cycle out, because you very well might see one of the top dogs here tonight all of a sudden get a speeding penalty, miss pit road, and if you do that and we somehow stay green at that point, your race could be over. And it looks like Paige Blemmy says in the chat, Colley is nothing less than amazing. Boy, you got that right to save it at a track like Darlington. Nice work by the 11. Looking back here, here's a battle between Austin Fitzgerald, Andrew Kotzka. It's not too much of a battle. It's really hard here, especially to set yourself up. You can't pass at 1 and 2. I guess the best you can do is set yourself up on the backstretch, maybe have something for 3 and 4. Now out of 3 and 4, you can certainly set yourself up for the front stretch. If you can get to the inside, that's where it becomes kind of that battle of who wants to give. I think as this race goes on, we're going to see a lot less give and a lot more take. And as you see the 48 falling back, he's maybe trying to look for a move here on Scott Naisland. Still nothing there as Joshua Watson continues to look, trying to stretch his lead out to half a second. What I was going to say, if you set yourself up right down the front stretch, kind of what you see Tyler Marble doing here, if they stay side by side, it's a matter of how much does the 48 want to risk in diving in. If he sends it in, the 22 backs out, it works out great. If he sends it in, the 22 doesn't back out, it may not work out so great. That's kind of where you have to make the decision. Not going to have to make a decision there further back. The 28 does, though, of Brian Curry. And that's exactly what we saw. A lot of give right there from Jacob Musso. He actually bailed out of the throttle down into one. Didn't want to put Brian Curry in a bad position. If this was a late restart, you might as well forget about it. And that probably would have ended up in some contact. Richard Elliott up 16 positions from where he started. He is absolutely flying through the field right now. Up to 16th position. He's got Jared Bundy just behind him, Johnny McCulchuk. Getting back to the field, there's this 27 of Jeff Shutt. You got the 80. We got somebody throwing it back. That's the 08, but it looks like it's backwards today. That's Danny Gutierrez. Interesting looking paint scheme for him. Jeffrey Souza in the teal and black 96. How about the 17 of Kyle Oakley? There's Alan Pajari. Boy, rough start for him. Down 13 positions from where he started. Very uncharacteristic for the 34 team. Matthew Gearinger, he's having a pretty good night so far in that 31 car. Up 5 from where he started. Look at that. Cody Matthews down 6. Todd Shiro up 2. And it looks like Joe Owen is not on the lead lap. Dave Sanders has retired from the race as of right now. Not sure if he plans on returning at all tonight or not. And then it looks like Joe Owen is indeed our only car that is a lap down right now. That is certainly going to change as the night goes on, and he is being scored 2 laps down. Looking at the track map there, you see we got the field spread out not quite halfway around this 1.3 mile track just yet. And eventually Joshua Watson, whether it's after pit stops or before, if he stays in the lead, he is going to have to face some lap traffic sooner or later. But look out, Tyler Marble, he is up to second. Took that position from Scott Naslin, who's maybe lost a little speed, as he has also lost a position now to Brian Curry. But the 48, maybe he's found something here. He is working his way up to the back bumper of Joshua Watson. And this is a point where if you're the leader, and we've seen this before from Joshua Watson, all he's got to do is try to run the same line as the 48, even if it's in the middle of the corner and he has to pull up, pull down a little bit. He's going to try to take a little bit of clean air off of Tyler Marble as he gets closer, but maybe Tyler Marble saved a bit more tire because he is really closing the gap. In fact, he's got a run here. We'll see if he takes it down into turn 3. Gets right to the back bumper, going to stay patient, tries to enter a little bit lower. Joshua Watson running in the middle, trying to stay a little bit higher, looking for the run down the front stretch. He gets it. He fends off Tyler Marble for this time, but I'm telling you, that 48 car, he has found a lot of speed here in the early going, only 30 laps in. Just about, I guess, a little bit over 1/5 of the way through this race. And Darlington's interesting. You know, 147 laps. It drives like a mile and a half. It feels like a mile and a half, but a lot more difficult. For these guys in the race, it is going to feel like a long race, and by the end of it, depending on how many cautions we have, it might feel even longer. All the pit stops, you cannot make a mistake through those 146 laps, and then on the 147th, if you're perfect enough, maybe you find yourself in the top 10 with a shot at the win. Going back further in the field, got a little battle here. It looked like the 17 of Kyle Oakley is going to get passed by Brett Spade, but he's just going to let that position go. And you know what? How about the thing that Brett Spade did last week at Kansas? We had a massive last lap wreck. This guy drove through all of it, picked up a podium finish. You know, he's got to be feeling good from it. Down 6 from where he started right now, but again, still a long ways to go. But 35 would love to build off that good finish that he got last week. So Dave Sanders, 37, Joe Owen, 36. Those guys not on the lead lap. In fact, Dave Sanders has retired from the race. Here's a look now at Ryan Haynes running that Ryan Newman throwback. He was involved in that first incident that brought out the caution. He made contact with Dave Sanders after Dave Sanders. Oh, and just as we say that, the 39 is going to get himself a Darlington stripe. We talked about those, and that's going to be your first one right there. Let's see if we can get a look at it. Sure enough, you kind of see on the right, of course, we can't see the paint because it is a simulator, not real life. But that's got to partially be the damage that Ryan Haynes got from that first wreck. Didn't think it was terrible, but certainly enough to affect him. 64 of Glenn Grigsby, one of the independent drivers, running 34th right now. Todd Shiro running the Dale Earnhardt throwback. And that is a good-looking Wrangler 3 car. He currently sits in 33rd. Cody Matthews in 32nd. Matthew Gearinger in 31st. Kyle Oakley in 30th. Brett Spade 29th. Alan Pajari in 28th. Jeffrey Souza 27th. Danny Gutierrez 26th. Jeff Shutt in 25th. Cody Colley in 24th. Adrian Watts, the rookie. Well, not the best start right here. Good-looking scheme tonight. And they do say look good, play good, but man, from the momentum that we've seen him come off the last 2 weeks, ran really fast at Dover, really fast last week at Kansas, unfortunately got taken out in a wreck at the end, the white flag, in fact. And he struggled a little bit here early, down 5 spots where he started outside the top 20. Bill Benedict in 22nd, Joe Musso in 21st, Johnny McCulchuk in 20th, Carl Dodson 19th, Richard Elliott 18th, up 14 from where he started. Brian Watson in 17th. Going to be Jared Bundy. Going to lose a couple spots. Ooh, we had one falling way back here. Do we have someone maybe getting to the wall? Sure enough, it looked like 47 of Andrew Kotska. Yeah, he's got an issue. Pretty good right side damage, and he is going to take that 47 machine down to pit road. Doesn't want to risk it any more than it already is. So that moves Brian Watson up to 15th. Jerry Isaacs 14th. Brian Coughlin 13th. Scott Glasso 12th. Cody Richardson in 11th. Almost broken into the top 10 now. Up one spot from where he started. And there's Jeff Marble, the man that we keep an eye on every week when we start to have long runs. He's looking for a move right now, trying to steal 9th away from Andrew Nieder. And looks like he's going to bail on that move. And it's... Oh, and never mind. The 36 gets into the wall. I don't know why I wanted to say 39. And Andrew Nieder, I thought he was doing a good job of holding off Jeff Marble, but maybe sent it in a little too much. Jeff's going to take full advantage of that. He will take that position. Getting in the wall here, Darlington usually doesn't hurt you too bad if it's only once or twice, but man, they start to add up quick over the course of a long race. And an early stripe here for the 36 of Andrew Nieder, who is now 10th. Jeff Marble up to 9th with that move. And now he's looking to get by Tracy Powers, who is in the 25 car, currently sitting in 9th position. Because Jeff Marble takes 8th. Sean Kaltenbach 7th. Austin Fitzgerald goes by him to take 6th. Jacob Musso 5th. Scott Naslin in 4th. Brian Curry 3rd. Tyler Marble 2nd. And he's still hanging pretty tough with your leader, Joshua Watson, who has led every lap up to this point. And I'm hearing a lot more guys. You might be able to hear it there from the broadcast at home. That scraping noise, that is guys throughout the field that are close to the camera view I'm on getting into that outside wall. And I'm hearing a lot more of it. Looks like the 5, that's Joe Owen. He's going to duck down. Maybe he's going to go to pit road again. We're not that deep into the run. And, man, there you go. Jeffrey Souza gets to the wall. This time it seems like just about every car we're looking for is having trouble getting into the outside wall. Cody Colley looks like he dove low. Not sure if he had an issue. Turns 1 and 2, it's very easy to do. I almost think 3 and 4 maybe a little bit easier because you run a different line through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You have all that speed. You feel like you got shot out of a rocket out of turn 2. All of a sudden, you got to really check up, even use the brakes potentially a little bit in 3 and 4. And sometimes you just run out of racetrack. Cody Colley falling back behind Bill Benedict and Johnny McCulchuk. And now we're starting to see a little bit more passing going on. And if you've saved your tires up to this point, you are in good position. One of those guys in good position is Jeff Marble. He's looking to track down Sean Kaltenbach next. Austin Fitzgerald, Jacob Musso still going at it. Casey Kane, well, Casey Kane paint scheme, if you will, is not going to be able to hold off the 74 for much longer. Austin Fitzgerald, similar to what we saw from him at Atlanta earlier in the season, a lot of speed right now. See if he can cap this thing off. There was another track. I'm trying to remember where it was. Austin Fitzgerald had been blinding fast most of the night, got caught up in an incident, and a car that went like looked like it was going to win the race had fallen back, but he's still got to win this season, so he's still looking good, and he is going to take that position away from Jacob Musso, who's not going to battle him too hard for it. Your 2 leaders, Tyler Marble and Joshua Watson, have kind of checked out a little bit on Brian Curry, about half a second between the 28 and the 48, and then half a second between the 48 and the 01 as well. We are approaching the 1/3 mark through this race. If I had to take a wild guess, again, I'm going to give a very, very vague pit window here because we're not sure. I would say on fuel, these guys could probably run somewhere between, we'll say 60, I don't know. I'm thinking more like 55 to 75 laps. Maybe more like 55 to 70. That's where we'll keep it for now. We went back green with about 20 laps in. If that were the case, these guys should still be able to go for potentially another 25 laps or so. But yeah, we'll know after that first pit stop. Of course, some guys did have to change up their strategy a little bit with that first caution. But overall, a lot of green running. Ooh, the 95, Jacob Musso gets up into that outside wall pretty hard that time. In the 15, Jeff Marble is going to take advantage. The right side of the 95 is going to start getting pretty beat up pretty quick if he's not careful. In fact, take a look at it here as he rounds the corner. A little hard to see, but I'm telling you that right side is going to get more and more scuffed up for every single driver in here as this race goes on. Except for Jeff Marble, apparently, who is up 8 positions from where he started. Brian Curry up 3. Those are your 2 biggest movers inside the top 10. Actually, Scott Glasso as well, up 7. Orcar, one of those guys that I believe he's an independent. He is on a team, but he doesn't really have any teammates. And it doesn't seem to affect him too. Actually, no, he is just straight up an independent driver, no team. And somebody might want to pick this guy up. He's showing a lot of speed. As you see, he just gets the right rear a little bit into the outside wall there as well. Quick reminder, we'll go over it later, but in case anybody's not going to tune in later, next week is going to be the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. I will not be here for that race. I'll be out on vacation with my family. But nonetheless, I'm sure we'll try to find a replacement for it. See if Bryce can get it for me or something. And if that race is broadcasted, make sure you watch that. One of the most intriguing tracks. I'm more interested to race there, to be honest, than I am to broadcast it. But I will not have the option either. Either way, the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series is still going to go. They are going to have an all-star race, and they're going to have an all-star winner. Make sure you don't miss out. That will be next week. I believe starting at the same time again. We'll check that later. 28 of Brian Curry. He's had a roller coaster of a season. Just about, I would say 9 out of the 10 races. We've went to more than 10 races, but most of the races we go to, he's got speed. A couple where not the case, but the thing that's made him maybe a little bit more inconsistent than he would like to be, or maybe than his teammates, is he's had a lot of bad luck at times where just not much he could do about it. Got caught up in a wreck at Dover last week. Not quite the finish he wanted, but a lot better. And here we go. Pretty good start to this race here. 48 of 147 laps in. And Team Watson Racing had 2 of their drivers looking really speedy last week. Brian Curry, will see if he can get it done this week for them. He is currently carrying the torch as it stands right now. The next Team Watson Racing driver is Andrew Nieder, who currently sits 8th. And Sean Kaltenbach, I noted we would talk more about it during the race. I wish we had a flashback to it. Last week at Kansas, got caught up in a wreck while leading with Carl Dotson early in the race. Pretty big hit to the front end. Me and my co-commentator at the time, we thought it was over. The 2-car didn't think he'd have any speed. All of a sudden, we get a string of cautions. Strategy worked out somehow for the 2-car. Found himself in the top 10 on the last couple restarts. And wouldn't you guess, with a destroyed front end, right front, left front, he found a way to bring the 2-car to victory lane over Joshua Watson as they all piled up on the last lap. And he was pretty ecstatic about that one, tacking on his 2nd of the season, as he did get the win at Talladega earlier this season. And speaking of speedway drivers, super speedway drivers, the other win came with this guy right here. The 08 of Danny Gutierrez got it done on the first race of the season, Capital Auto Daytona 250. And we talk about it a couple weeks when we talk about it, but he's almost got that season-long momentum, because no matter how you look at it, you won the biggest race of the year. I know a lot of guys would much rather win a championship, but those are the 2 big check boxes that everybody has on their list at the beginning of the season, is the Daytona 250 and then, of course, the championship. If you get the Daytona 250, you're getting yourself momentum for the rest of the season, and you have already checked off one of those boxes. He's trying to work his way right now around Brian Conklin. Not too much luck with it, but again, only 51 laps in, still plenty of time. Cody Colley now up 1 position from where he started, trying to work out of the hole that he he didn't dig himself. He couldn't really help it. Unfortunately, got in a bad position there when Richard Elliott got tagged from behind. But had a wicked save. He held on to it, and because of that, he's still up here running with a clean car and a chance to maybe go fight for a top 10, as he is now in 19th, up 2 spots from where he started. Still yet to see any pit stops. And I take that back. We are going to see some pit stops here. Looks like Sean Kaltenbach is the highest running car on pit road right now. It seems a little early for me, but we're going to see how this strategy pans out. A lot of times when a couple guys come down, it starts to drag everybody else down as well. We'll have to see if that's the case right here. These guys ran about 32-ish laps, give or take, from when we last went green. There's Sean Kaltenbach working his way off of pit road. So we are going to have a couple more here. Andrew Nieder in the 36. It's kind of got that awkward spot on the box. Darlington's a very awkward pit road. You'll see it from the blimp cam here. Actually, maybe a little farther back, but the first set of, I believe it's a handful of stalls, maybe a couple more, and then it's like a cutoff before you go back up to the front boxes, which are pretty normal. But we need to try to ride on board with one of these guys when they get down to pit road, because it is a very, very tricky pit road to get down to. Everybody's done it clean, though, so far. We have not had any incidents just yet. We'll see if we can keep it that way. Scott Naslin, Cody Richardson closing in on each other here. Cody Richardson's looking to pick up 6th position. He's up 5 spots from where he started. Scott Glasso started off, fired off good, if you will, but it's kind of faded a little bit since. It looks like we're going to have another one get on pit road. Ooh, maybe almost missed it. I think that was the 35 of Brett Spod. And sure enough, it was. You see him in pit road now. Shuffling things up. Boy, you do not want to caution and come out right after you have cycled through the pits here at a track like Darlington. If you're Joshua Watson, you certainly would not mind seeing it, but it puts a lot of guys at least one down, and it's going to put a couple guys that were maybe towards the back 2 laps down. It's also going to start to throw in the picture of lap traffic. And looking at your track map there, you see he's not quite to the thick of it just yet, and it's going to continue to develop with pit stops, but Joshua Watson starting to potentially close in on some lap traffic. While we haven't watched the 01 all race either, one thing I haven't noticed since we've been watching him is any hits to that outside wall. And just as I say that, maybe just ever so slightly kissing it, giving it a little skim to the middle of the corner, but nothing egregious by any means. I think he's going to be okay. Further back, the battle for second is on. Austin Fitzgerald has tracked down Tyler Marble, and he's looking to get by. And there's another one of the Team Marble iRacing driver teammates. Jeff Marble sitting just behind these two, and at this point, you can't quite be as brave as you were earlier on those new tires. You got to be a lot more careful with the moves you make. And Austin Fitzgerald couldn't quite run the line he wanted. Not sure if he lost the nose or what, but because of that, had to take a pretty big checkup, and he lost a lot of ground. Almost gave Jeff Marble the opportunity to make a move. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite capitalize on it. And like I said, I'd be curious if the leaders can somehow make it to around lap 75, then that would make you think they should be, I don't know if they'd quite be good to go the rest of the way. I think I would take that back. But I would think they'd only have to make one more pit stop. Still going to be interesting to see, and in order for them to make it on just this one pit stop right here, they would have to make it to about lap, see, they went green with 127. And that would give us, they went green with 127 to go. You got to go 60 laps from then. So they'd have to get to probably about lap 80, maybe a little less if they wanted a good shot at that. Actually, maybe a little more. Lap 83 or something. I just don't know if I see anybody being able to go quite that far. Looking more like in the 60s to 70s right now. And guess what? Austin Fitzgerald, sure enough, he made that move. He got by to take that position away from Tyler Marble, who is now under fire from his teammate Jeff Marble. Looking to the inside off turn 4. Looks like maybe the 48. Not sure if he skimmed the outside wall or if that was one of the cars behind him, but he's going to fall a position here. Brian Kerr's got to be real careful. You see he's trying to work to the inside. The front tires do not have hardly any grip left, and he almost got into the left rear of Tyler Marble. Does a nice job, though, of keeping it off of him. Let's look at the lap times real quick. Remember what they were at the start of the race on brand new tires? We were looking at 29-second laps. I believe it was 29.5s. Compare that to the laps they're running now, 30s, 31s, as Joshua Watson is getting in on the lap traffic. And that's part of the reason that those new tires make such a difference. And I'm starting to think Sean Kaltenbach maybe decided to try some strategy. Maybe he's going for an extra pit stop than everybody else to see if he can make it up on time in terms of with those fresh tires, fresher tires that he'll get on both pit stops. And we saw back there in the, I guess you'd call it the lap view, lap traffic view, whatever you want to call it. Looking for Joe Owen here as we see Joe Musso going to pit road. He's got some damage to the front of that 5 car. I'm not sure where he got it all, but it's looking like he might come to a stop here and park it for the night. Showed up, he's going to make sure he gets that thing nice and rolled off. That left front damage may have cost him just a little too much. He may not see any more points to be gained here for tonight, and he's going to hop out. There's Jerry Isaacs and the 3 of Todd Shiro, and they're getting ready to lose a lap to your current leader. And these are guys that have not pit yet. That is why Joshua Watson is running them down. If you see anybody with new tires near the 01, you're certainly going to know because they're going to go flying by inside, outside. It's not going to matter. The difference between new and old tires here is too great. You see the 51 get stuck in the dirty air just a little bit right there. Thought he was going to have some issues, but he keeps it nice and clean yet again. 63 laps in. We're starting to approach the halfway mark. Got about another 10 laps or so. But boy, Joshua Watson continues to commit to that diamond of 1 and 2, and he gets unbelievably close to the wall. In fact, we'll ride on his right front here through 3 and 4. He's going to duck the low side of Todd Shiro. He definitely does not run nearly as high in 3 and 4 as he is in 1 and 2. But he's not taking that high entry either that we kind of see work in real life. You're kind of wondering if it would work for any of these guys here tonight, but no one's really dared to try it, and I just don't think it's going to be all that efficient. Behind Johnny McCulchuk, gets right up to the outside wall. Definitely not as high as he could go this time. But I think that's because he knew he might lose the nose, and if you're that close to the wall, losing the nose, you're going to probably be in the outside wall. Now jumps to the inside of the 72 of Johnny McCulchuk, makes it stick. washes up in 3 and 4. And the more guys he continues to put a lap down, the harder it's going to be if you were one of those guys to go a lap down to get your lap back. As now, looks like Johnny Mikulchuk, I believe he is going to be your lucky dog. Again, that is the first car a lap down, and it looks like, sure enough, Johnny Mikulchuk, your lucky dog in 21st. So we still have 20 cars on the lead lap here at Darlington. The racing action continuing to heat up, and pit stops are underway. We'll be right back. Back live at Darlington Raceway, 69 of 147 laps complete here tonight for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, presented by Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists. Oh man, the 25 of Tracy Powers, that got really sketchy as Joshua Watson was going by his inside. Got into the wall a little bit, and then off turn 2, he really got into the outside wall. And he is going to definitely lose his lap and lose another position. In fact, it looks like the 39 of Ryan Haynes, however, that is not for an actual track position, if you will. Tyler Marble has faded back to 7th, make that 8th now, as Scott Naislin's going to sneak by. You got to think he's starting to struggle, and at what point, if you start to struggle too much, do you ever think about abandoning ship? Maybe try to pit early? I don't think that's the case for anybody that's still out, and I'm telling you, they still continue to stay out. If they can somehow make it another 10, I think to be more comfortable, 12 to 15 laps, they might be able to make this their only stop, but we've already seen a handful pit, and as Tyler Marble, oh, I thought he was maybe going to look to the pits there. He's not. The guys that pit, I gotta assume they're on a different strategy. There's Carl Dotson. He showed a lot of speed last week at Kansas. The 93 just in front of him of Joe Musso. Going by the 64. Things can get a little sketchy when you come up on a group of side-by-side cars and old tires here at Darlington. Your leader is still out on track, but one of the guys I'm keeping an eye on here is Sean Kaltenbach. Seems like he's definitely got a top 15 car tonight, maybe top 10. But I think the thing that might make him stand out here is going to be strategy play, and if he play the right strategy, Richard Elliott behind him right now in 26th. And we took a look at Carl Dotson, who's currently 27th, Jared Bundy 28th. And he's running a Valvoline throwback. I believe that's a Mark Martin throwback. Could be wrong. Hopefully I didn't upset anybody if I am. Up front, though, boy, Joshua Watson, I mean, he has led every single lap from the start of this race. Absolute clinic that he's putting on right now. I mean, to be honest, there's been a couple races this season. There's been a couple guys maybe not too pleased. You know, the 01 has certainly been fast in every race, but he's certainly not been the fastest in every race that he's won. But he's been there when it's counted, and that's what's kind of separated him from the rest of the field. A couple other races where you thought you knew the dominant car, they end up wrecking out, and all of a sudden here this guy is to pounce. The races where that's not the case, well, that's because he is the dominant car. It looks like the 31, Matthew Gearinger, sneaking up, maybe looking to see if he can get a lap back here the hard way. Austin Fitzgerald still keeping an eye on if he would be able to really get that gap down from second to first. If he is, it's definitely not by a lot right now, just inching at it away. But if he can have a clean pit stop and he can run good on the long run here for the next stretch, he might be okay the rest of the way. We'll have to see. These guys are still out here 74 laps in. Again, we have not seen your leaders pit. We've seen a couple guys, but more than a couple actually. We did see some of the guys towards the front. None of the leaders though. I would say late top or further back towards the top 10, and then guys in the teens, 20s, etc. But I don't think I've seen anybody in the top 5 pit, at least up to this point. How about Adrian Watts? We talked about him earlier, was not going in the right direction. Boy, he sure has now. Has turned it on. He has just now gotten in front of Jeffrey Souza, who is also having a heck of a run right now, up 19 positions in 9th. But there's the rookie in the 03, currently sits in 8th, and there is Sean Kaltenbach looking to try to get a lap back. He still would have a long way to go. But of course, once your leaders do pit, he will get at least one of those laps back. In fact, I think he is only 1 lap down right now. He is. Jeff Marble has also went with the pitting strategy. Ooh, we got a couple more down here this time. It looks like Tyler Marble has pit as well. And now we might be getting ready to drag your leader in here 76 laps in. They might have been trying to stretch it. Not sure how much farther they really can stretch it. Jeff Marble did indeed go into the pits. Lost a lap, but that's what you kind of expect to happen here at Darlington. And here we go. Your leader is in the pits. And and just as he gets in the pits, we have a yellow. Oh, man, and it's Sean Kaltenbach. What happened? Looking for him now. Oh, and it looks like JBR E-Racing's Richard Elliott is going to be involved in this. We saw these two pretty close to each other. It's looking like there might have been some contact involved. Oh, man, Richard Elliott absolutely smoked the front end. As you see, there is smoke coming out. That might bring his night to an end. And I'll tell you what, this looks really, really similar to the damage the 2-car had last week at Kansas when he went on to win. But unfortunately, I'm not going to try to put my money that that happens twice, as you certainly don't want to get damage if you can help it. It's a little hard to see from that view. Ooh, youch. And that's going to collect another car here as well. The 08, Danny Gutierrez. So 2 JBR E-Racing drivers to 1. All right, Sean Kaltenbach working the bottom. And is he... Yeah, man, that's tough. It looks like maybe just came up a little bit before he was quite clear. Might have been expecting the 08 to slide up a little bit more by this point, but he wasn't quite there. The 02 slides up into him, and that does hook the 2. Not the 02, excuse me, the 2. That does hook the 2. And pretty big impact for him. And there's Richard Elliott, nowhere to go, and this is going to be a pretty big hit into the inside wall. Boom. That's where all the damage comes from. The totals, oh, man. Carl Dotson finishes it off, was trying to sneak through, could not quite do it. And is he going to make some more contact here? Oh, man, Danny Gutierrez just sneaks by as the 29 is going to pound the outside wall. And did everyone else miss him is the question at that point. Yep, looks like everybody else was able to sneak by if the 29 pounded the outside wall. Take a couple more views of this. Let's ride on board here with Carl Dotson. Oh, man, you saw the gap was there and then just closed up. Tank slaps the right side. Not really much he could do at all. You certainly can't really put that on him. Here's from the TV3 view. And I do apologize. Not sure why it doesn't want to go back. We'll do it the hard way if we have to. And there we go. Well, Richard Elliott, second race back, and they come to an end earlier as totaled engine is going to be a ton of repair time, and at a certain point may not be worth coming back out, but we'll see if we see the O2 back on track at all later. This caution throws a wrench at some things, but I'll tell you who it came out at the absolute perfect time for, and that is your current leader, Joshua Watson. He just had got to pit road when the caution flew, so he basically got a free full service. Austin Fitzgerald still hanging around in second, Brian Curry third. It's going to be Jeffrey Souza fourth, Andrew Nieder fifth, Cody Richardson 6th, Cody Colley 7th, Bill Benedict 8th, Alan Fitzgerald 9th, and Jeff Shutt running at the top 10. I'm curious to see how many guys, if any, this traps a lap down. I would have certainly thought it would have got some. It's looking like maybe they all got the wave around. Not all of them. Take that back. In fact, this might have trapped a couple guys more than a lap down. Oh my goodness. Looks like what I saw on the last scoring loop was 18th on back is not on the lead lap. And that's great news for Joshua Watson because that's just less guys he has to worry about. And usually the more lap cars you have, the less chance of a caution in a race like this. Maybe not so much at a super speedway, but they're probably not going to race as hard unless they're potentially racing for the lucky dog, because there's not really much you can gain. Unfortunately, if you're 2 laps down right now, you are in big trouble. And yeah, I mean, looking at it, Jerry Isaacs is the first car a lap down in 18th. Now, that's a tough break for them, but again, a very, very lucky and good break for Joshua Watson. Expecting to get the 1 to go, as it looks like, yep, sure enough, we do have the 1 to go. We should be going back green this time, as the pace car is currently working its way out of turn 2. We are now officially a handful of laps over halfway through this race. There's a 17 of Kyle Oakley. Not sure if he's going to have to wait on the pace car or what. But Austin Fitzgerald showed a lot of long run speed. I'm curious to see what he can do on the restart here. And how about Jeffrey Souza? We saw Jacob Musso having a heck of a night earlier. It's almost turned over now to Jeffrey Souza, who is also by far having a season high run, season best run, if you will, right now. And we're going to go ahead and delay the green, run it one more time, as I guess everybody did not quite get it sorted out. But Jeffrey Souza in 4th. Keep an eye on this guy. Maybe he's got some speed in that 96 tonight. A little bit more than what we're used to seeing. Bill Benedict as well. You have some guys that we are not used to calling in the top 10 up here getting it done tonight. Jeff Shutt. Alan Pajari started off rough. He is back up here tonight. Auto Club winner there in the 34 car. Matthew Gearinger doing a heck of a job. Scott Glasser, we're used to seeing him up here. You look back a little bit, there's the rookie Adrian Watts. Jared Bundy even with a top 20 run going right now. Brett Spade, Todd Sherrill, all these guys doing a heck of a job right now, taking advantage of that oddly timed caution. And I know the Casey Kane scheme is probably my favorite tonight, but this one is definitely running a close second, and I'm sure a lot of people watching, this is probably their favorite, the 3 of Todd Sherrill. Certainly pretty long ways to go through this race. Everybody's still going to have to stick pretty conservative. However, at this point, it's going to be close on if we can make it from here or not. It looks like Kyle Oakley is still not been able to get it sorted out. He's still riding around in the front here. Not sure if he was supposed to get a lap back and didn't, or how this is going to work, but you know the admins are going to be telling him he needs to get to the back, get it sorted out, because we are going to delay the green yet again. These caution laps are certainly helping the fuel, but I think it's going to be borderline, but I think they're going to be just off by probably less than 10 laps or so from making it to the end, but I don't know that you can necessarily say that. Will be interesting to see if anybody decides to try it. But at this point, if we do get any more cautions at any point, that everybody is going to make sure that they pit, take 4 fresh tires, knowing they're good to go on fuel, and that is when we will see the race be on. But the race is going to be on right here between Joshua Watson and Austin Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald maybe had a little bit more long run speed there, but the problem is he had too many cars that he had to work around. Not the case this time, and we'll see if he can hang on, maybe steal that position from Joshua Watson. We may see a new leader trying to pull away from the field. Brian Curry was pretty good through the short, medium run. Started to struggle a little bit there on the long run, but he is going to be starting 2nd row on the inside. And there's Cody Colley, going to be starting 5th, up 16 spots from where he started after the wicked save earlier. The 11 car is looking to get a little more here, 3rd on that inside line as well. Alan Pajari just behind him, and Matthew Gearinger, Jeff Shutt making up row 4. All right, well, we talked about how crazy restarts are. Let's ride on board here with Austin Fitzgerald for one and see if he can outdo the man that's led them all so far here tonight. Joshua Watson, all right, here we go. And I guess we're going to go ahead and delay it again. I'm not sure what happened this time, but it has been delayed for some reason. I'm not sure if they're still trying to figure out scoring or what the deal is. Pace car's going to make his way back out, and we're going to have to try this again. Not sure what that yellow was thrown for. But either way, it's going to give us some more time to do a couple things. So let's go ahead and start here. See if we can't maybe find somebody for an interview here down one of the team channels. Let's see if we can get a word with Austin Fitzgerald. Looking pretty fast. Actually, I want to hold that thought here because it looks like they are going to get 1 to go again. And if they do indeed go green this time, boy, look how long the single file line is on the inside. That's usually an indication of all the guys that came back into top off that pitted with coming to 2 to go. And they are still trying to sort it out back here. I'm not sure what is going on. Well, we might go green this time. It's going to be a very disorganized green, especially for the people in the back. But up front, they're tight and steady. Working off turn 4. The virtual fans are ready to get back into action. 83 of 147 laps complete. Back on board with Austin Fitzgerald. Green flag is in the air. Good start here from Austin Fitzgerald, but he's not going to be able to hold off the 01 into the corner. We'll see, does he try a dive bomb? No, the 01's going to get that big momentum off of the corner, and they are already just about single file throughout the entire field. There's a look at the back straightaway. Carl Dotson coming back on track. Clean first lap here. I thought it would maybe be a little bit more aggressive here, as we are, I mean, I guess with still having a pit stop, maybe not. I'm curious how guys are going to break up this strategy. I almost think maybe you split it 50-50, try to maximize your tires, or if nothing else, if you're not the leader, maybe you try to pit a couple laps earlier than 50-50 split. Maybe try to get a couple extra laps on those new tires to get the lead, and if you get clean air, it might make up for those couple laps on older tires that you could have. Brian Curry looking to fight hard here to see if he can steal second. Austin Fitzgerald doing a nice job holding him off, running a little bit of a higher line. So far tonight, seems like in 3 and 4, at least on the short run, the bottom's been the quicker way to go. As we go back in the field here, a lot of single file, nobody really getting too racy right now, and we almost saw more racing. This is the opposite of what I expected. We saw almost more racing once everybody had gotten spread out initially, because then you saw guys who saved their tires all of a sudden flying through the field. Guys who didn't save their tires all of a sudden dropping like rocks. 36, Andrew Niedert is going to try the bottom. You saw the 08, Danny Gutierrez. He is on the move, trying to get back up front after being involved in that last incident that brought out the second caution of the night. And there is a look at Cody Richardson, who is currently up in 13th, 3 spots outside of the top 10, having a pretty good run right now. I think he would like to get probably 5 more positions. Still has a decent amount of time to do so. Ooh, big block there from the 64 of Glenn Grigsby. Man, that was a little closer than it needed to be as well. My goodness. 64. Tried to hold up to 46. That could have not ended too well, but Cody Richardson stays patient. It's going to work his way by him this time. And again, that wasn't even for position. Not sure if maybe Glenn Grigsby was trying to get out of the way and Cody Richardson just happened to follow, or if there was indeed some blocking going on. I think it's going to be the first option. 88 laps in, Joshua Watson still leading the way. He's still at all of them, but again, you never know what we could see here. Darlington at the end, if he doesn't lead the last lap, none of it's going to matter. Although he is getting himself some pretty good points accumulated, of course, by getting the pole. Getting as many laps as he had so far, and maybe looking to do the sweep and win the race. That might be the first time this season we would have seen that from a driver. And you know, I say he's led every lap. He hasn't technically led every single lap. I guess I should say under green he has led every lap. Of course, with cautions and stuff, sometimes things get shuffled up. Looks like Alan Pajari further back. One of the few drivers that I noticed right there through 3 and 4 trying to work the top side. You see it works in the sense he does get momentum down the straightaway as Scott Glasso goes by the 27 of Jeff Shutt, who is up 22 spots from where he started. Really nice run right now from Jeff. See if he can keep it up. And his teammate, Johnny Mikulchuk, we saw up here a little bit earlier as well. Fortunately, Mikulchuk on the bad side of that caution got trapped a lap down right now. He is running somewhere in the 20s. But Brian Curry just continues to heat up the back bumper of Austin Fitzgerald. I got to think that's making Austin work a little bit harder on those Goodyear tires right now than he would like to. Meanwhile, Joshua Watson loves what he sees in his mirror. The harder those two race, the less he has to try to drive away, because it'll just happen naturally. The 96 as well of Jeffrey Souza. He is staying up here. I don't even know if he has any teammates in the field. I don't believe he does for Triad Racing Enterprises. I think he is the only driver on that team. And he would really, really benefit a lot here tonight if he could somehow bring home a top 5, even a top 10 finish. Never mind where he's running right now in the top 4, maybe still with a chance to win, varying on how pit stops go. But he's trying to track down these two. Oh man, Brian Curry sticks the chrome horn to the front, or the back of Austin Fitzgerald. That was close, man. You got to be really careful doing that here in Darlington, especially out of turn 2. The car really, really unloads. Almost like a little bit of a bump coming out of 2, actually. Everybody's going to be okay that time, no issues, but Brian Curry maybe starting to get a little impatient. I think he knew he was faster, at least the last 5 laps or so, than Austin Fitzgerald, but he just cannot find a way around. That's what makes Darlington so difficult. Jumps back now behind the 74 out of turn 2. And these two are starting to close up on your leader. I think that might just be a product of Joshua Watson not pushing the issue right now. No need to. And these guys get close enough, he's going to say, all right, still got plenty of tire. I'm going to go ahead and pull away a little bit more right here. And we are approaching that lap 100 marker that would mark 2/3 of the way through this race. Does anyone have anything for Joshua Watson? So far, it's certainly not looking that way. You know what I was interested to try that we've seen in some other leagues are in-race interviews, but it seems like that doesn't work out too well here, so we are not going to bother anybody with it. Looks like Ryan Haynes, Richard Elliott, both on pit road. Richard Elliott, I believe, is from damage. So Dave Sanders in 37th. We're going to go through your running order here. Andrew Kotska in 36th. Those two have retired from the race. So is Brian Watson, Joe Owen. You got to go all the way up to Richard Elliott to find the first car. Still technically on track, however, he is in pit road. Pretty banged up. Ryan Haynes, he is sitting on pit road as well in 32nd. Joe Musso in 31st. Looks like he is off track right now. Glenn Grigsby in 30th. Sean Kaltenbach in 29th. Johnny McCulchuk is currently sitting in 28th. Carl Dotson in 27th. 26th, Cody Matthews. 25th, Kyle Oakley. 24th, Scott Nason. 23rd, Brian Conklin. 22nd is going to be Todd Shearer. Jacob Musso in 21st. Tracy Powers in 20th. Brett Spott in 19th. Jerry Isaacs in 18th. Jared Bundy in 17th. Tyler Marble 16th. Adrian Watts 15th. Jeff Marble 14th. Cody Richardson. And you know what? Hold on. Let's back that up just a step before we do get to Cody Richardson. Jeff Marble, one of the guys that I would assume maybe didn't want that caution. The good news is he was able to stick on the lead lap. So he's going to be okay here, and he's got a good long run car from what we saw in that first long run. See what he can do here by the end of this race. Cody Richardson in 13th. Andrew Niedert in 12th. Going up to 11th, you'll find Danny Gutierrez. Boy, that was a speedy recovery from the driver that was involved in the last incident. He is already up to 11th, up 18 spots from where he started. But he might be about to lose that position now. To Andrew Niedert, who's going to dive it in into turn 3. Matthew Gearinger in 10th. 31 car. Very good run for him tonight as well. Jeff Shutt in 9th. Scott Glasso 8th. Alan Pajari 7th. Bill Benedict 6th. 5th is going to be Cody Colley. 4th, Jeffrey Souza. Brian Curry 3rd. Austin Fitzgerald 2nd. And Joshua Watson still leading the way here as we are 98 of 147 laps through. Well, I don't know if we had one last week. Actually, I think we did, but we're certainly going to make sure we have one this week either way. And how about a little Darlington Crank It Up? Here we go. And that's going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy. A little bit harder to do that segment here at Darlington. We just don't have that many camera angles, but either way, always fun to try out. I was looking back here. We got a little battle here. Tracy Powers in the 25. Jacob Musa, though. It's not really for position, though, so I guess he's all right. Looked like a battle there for a minute, but the 95 is going to let the 03 of Adrian Watts, the rookie, go right around. Tyler Marble maybe tagged the wall a little bit there as well. Joshua Watson is still up front, leading by about half a second. Austin Fitzgerald now maybe finally starting to get a little bit of breathing room here from Brian Curry. It seemed like forever that those two were bumper to bumper, but now they're finally going to start to separate a little bit. We are over 100 laps through this event, approaching 40 laps to go here in about 3 laps. Joshua Watson, all he's really got left to do is try to execute on that final pit stop. Again, we are expecting a pit stop. I think these guys can make it all within about 10 laps to go worth of fuel. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody splits it, if we see any short pits. Do we see any late pits? Heck, you know, actually with the amount of laps we're going to have to go after pit stops, that could put in some tire strategy. You may see some guys take no tires, or only 2 if anything. You may not need to take 4 with only 10 to go. Something around that nature in the chat. You guys see Bryce, excuse me, man, words are not it for me tonight. Bryce has hopped in the chat. And go check out his PayPal link. He is trying to pay off some medical bills right now. He is, of course, the owner of Ghost Racing Network. As he says in the chat, anything's going to help. Whether it's a penny, whether it's $1, anything will certainly help, especially when you're trying to pay off medical bills. And we will be hosting a fundraiser race for Bryce here. It was initially going to be this week, but we're still planning out how we want to do things. And the way it's going to set up, we might end up hosting it next week, but make sure you stay tuned for the details on that. Right now, though, Joshua Watson is on rails. We've seen him dominate a lot of races. This might be his most dominant one so far, and I guess it makes sense that it would come at the trickiest track. Not without any consequences, though. Look at the right side there. Looks to be a little scuffed up. That's probably from a couple of Darlington stripes that he may have gotten throughout this race. And watch how close he gets to the wall here. Earlier when we tried to take a look, I mean, at that point, the camera is basically in the wall. And you might see it do so right here. He gets that big diamond all the way to the top of the track. I'm telling you, he is probably about a foot off of that outside wall. That's why clean air is so important at a track like Darlington. Even if Austin Fitzgerald, Brian Curry, Jeffrey Souza, any of these guys, even if they get a shot later and they close all the way up to your leader, it gets really, really difficult once you get closer, because then you get trapped in that dirty air. The front, all of a sudden, doesn't have as much grip as it did. Your car wants to drive up, and that wall is very sticky at a track like Darlington. It does not want to let you go once you get into it. Brian Curry started to fade off just a little bit, maybe a car length, but he is back to heating up the bumper of Austin Fitzgerald. And at a certain point, you got to wonder if you're Austin Fitzgerald, do you try to play some strategy, maybe let the 28 go and see if he's got anything? But I think at this point, with as hard as it is to pass a Darlington, track position too important, you're going to see Austin Fitzgerald try to stay right in that second position for as long as he can. Jeffrey Souza is still hanging around 4th. Scott Glasso has now taken over 5th from Cody Colley, who just shifts outside the top 5 now. The 11 still a strong run. This could be his best of the season if he keeps it up. Bill Benedict in 7th, Alan Pajari 8th, Jeff Shett 9th, and Andrew Nieder for Team Watson Racing currently rounding out the top 10. Well, we know it's still a possibility, but we're never guaranteed that final caution, so because of that, take a look here at some of the stuff that we like to look at. Basically your announcements, if you will. And to start us off, we're going to take a look at the regular season points as it stands right now. Joshua Watson, no surprise, still leading, has a 30-point lead right now over Jeff Marble. That might change tonight if Joshua Watson can get himself another win. Cody Richardson has made his way up to the podium now in points. Tyler Marble 4th, Austin Fitzgerald 5th, Andrew Nieder 6th, Alan Pajari 7th, Sean Kaltenbach 8th, 9th, Carl Dotson rounding out the top 10 is going to be another Mad Sim Racing driver. Teammate Cody Richardson, that's Andrew Kotska. We talked about next week, North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. You don't want to miss out. And I believe it's 2 events. I believe they're going to have the All-Star Open and then the All-Star race. The All-Star Open is going to be the 85-lap event, and then the race itself will be 125 laps. And that is going to be the best of the best drivers in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Again, I will not be around for that broadcast. However, that race will still go on. After that, we head back to Charlotte for the longest race of the season from what it looks like, 200 laps. Of course, in real life, that's the Coke 600. That is going to be the 3rd of the 5 No Bull Race Challenge. So you're going to have a lot of guys putting in a lot of practice. It's going to be a fun race there for sure. Then we head to Gateway. Interesting track before we head to our first road course of the season at Sonoma. Then it's going to be a bye week. After that, it's Nashville Super Speedway. Still to be determined. And then we head back to hot Atlanta over the summer, followed by New Hampshire for 150 laps. I'm interested to see what that to be determined race is going to be. I think think in real life that might be the weekend that they run the street course. Well, I'm not sure. What I am sure of, though, is Joshua Watson being the best car out there right now, and definitely can't... Maybe he does get the win tonight. I know we don't know what's going to happen, but he certainly has had the fastest car for most of the long run. We haven't had enough time to see what Austin Fitzgerald quite had. He was trying to gain, couldn't quite get enough. And we're not deep enough into this run yet to have an idea. The problem when you get cautions, though, is guys, they pay attention to what other guys are doing, and they make adjustments. As right here, Jeff Marble's looking to the inside of Jeff Shutt. That is for 10th. Bill Benedict about to be under fire as well in the 90 car. Go back a little bit farther. Cody Richardson is now 12th. Matthew Gearinger still up 23 positions. He's in 13th. Tyler Marble 14th. Andy Gutierrez in 15th. Adrian Watts, the rookie, in 16th. And Jared Bundy currently being scored the last car on the lead lap in 17th. And again, if we do stay green, we might be putting a couple more laps. Now let's take a look at the track map. And right now they're spread out, I would say, a little bit more than half of the track. From the start there, Joshua Watson is halfway down the back to the car running the furthest back right now, which is just now crossing the start-finish line. And we are now just about within 30 laps to go. That's when it starts to become crunch time. The last 25 laps are going to go by pretty quick here at Darlington. Set yourself up for that final pit stop that you're planning to make. Whatever strategy you're thinking of, you need to know now. You don't want to try to make a last-second decision on who you're going to follow, what you're going to take. Have all that said, and I think if you're Joshua Watson and you have a big enough lead, actually, I'm not sure. Do you play it safe? Do you maybe take at least 2 tires? I don't know if I can see anybody taking 4. They're just not going to take enough fuel for it to be worth it. But maybe you take 2 tires. If you're back here, Austin Fitzgerald, maybe you take none. And at the same time, if you are Joshua Watson with a lead of only a second, depending on just how much fuel you got to take, maybe you take no tires as well. Maybe Austin Fitzgerald pits early, takes tires. I just don't know. There's too much strategy that's going to be involved. One of the strategies that I think I like that maybe you give a shot is if you are one of these drivers such as Austin Fitzgerald, although I'm not sure if he did it now or anybody up in the top 5 for that matter, I think you should have ran that set as hard as you could here from the start and then pit about halfway through. And that time that you got to assume you could have made up, take 4 tires. And then you can try to make up that time again, beat anybody that has to be really conservative on their tires, and assuming that they're going to try to make it the whole rest of this race on those same sets of Goodyears. Come back a little bit here, further back in the pack. Jeff Shutt continuing to fall some positions now. Cody Richardson going to take that position. Still very impressed with the job Jeffrey Souza is doing tonight. Still in the top 5, still looking for a season best finish. Next car he's going to have to worry about is Cody Colley in 6th. Another great run for him. Alan Pajari, good recovery. We saw him pretty far back earlier. Stuck this thing out, back up in the 9th position. Cody Richardson in 10th, up 2 from where he started. Jeff Shutt now just outside the top 10. Going back here to some of the guys that are a lap down. Everybody's still running their own race, even if you are a lap down car. If nothing else, the reason we see a lot of these guys commit and try to stay out no matter what happens, or by stay out, I mean come back out on track, even if you're damaged or lap down, is because points matter. Every single point matters, especially when we get to the playoffs. And then later on, getting towards the championship, you want to have as many points rather accumulated as possible. So heck, even if somehow you pass a couple more guys on track, well, that's some extra points that you're going to earn. And maybe moves you up a position. Maybe that's that 1 point that you need towards the end of the season to make the playoffs. It looked like we maybe had one scrape the wall there. Joshua Watson, though, coming around this time to take 27 laps to go here at Darlington. If you are just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. It's been a green race overall, and that surprises me because I honestly did not think that this would be one of the races that we went the greenest through. Both cautions we had were just mistakes. Nothing that I would say is preventable, more or less just racing incidents from hard racing. And those kinds of incidents we can't really get too mad at, but Joshua Watson, he's not had to worry about any of that because he has held the lead. I saw one on pit road. And it could be time here for some pit stops, at least for the cars that are not on the lead lap. Looks like Brett Spade, Todd Shearer, they're going to bring it down to the pits. Sean Kaltenbach here as well. I don't think the lap down cars are necessarily going to be any indication of when the leaders are going to pit. But I think if we start seeing any of the lead lap cars, especially anybody in the top 10 pit, that's when you might start to see a couple more get drawn down. Carl Dotson's going to pull into his pit stop. Brett Spa's going to pull into his as well. Glenn Grigsby, Sean Kaltenbach. And look in here. Let's see if we can get a view of that weird. It looks like he's not quite in. We needed to find somebody that was really far back in pits. Here you go. See if Richard Elliott shows that odd-shaped box. You can't see it from every view. In fact, if you look towards the back there, there's pit road entrance. Richard Elliott is, of course, stalled, so we're not quite going to be able to see it. By stalled, I mean he is out for damage right now. Back up front, though. The gap is a second between first and second. And Brian Curry not quite on the back bumper anymore. About half a second back from Austin Fitzgerald. It sounded like maybe he had one getting the wall back here a little bit. Not sure if it was Jeffrey Souza. Cody Colley is tracking him down, looking to pick up that 5th position. Andrew Nieder hanging out the side, the top 5 currently in 7th. All right, 24 laps to go. We're in that final 25 mark. How are we going to see this pan out? Maybe somehow, some way they make it the rest of the way. I just don't see it, especially seeing some of the cars that have already pit. I think we're certainly going to see a pit stop. I'd be really shocked if they ran it out, but I think if you do run it out, then you got to commit to no tires, at most 2 tires, certainly not 4 at this late in the race. But if you're Austin Fitzgerald, I think maybe you got to try something different, and maybe you do pit early and take 2 tires. But he has had a good long-run car tonight. Jeff Marble's usually the guy we're talking about in the long run. We're still going to be talking about him because he's inside the top 10 in 7th. Up 7 from where he started. Good recovery after that caution came out at not the best time for him. But Austin Fitzgerald, I would say, was putting a pretty good run, and if maybe not the best long-run car tonight, definitely close between him and Jeff Marble. And the gap's hanging around a second. He's closing a little bit, then he fades a little bit, closes up a little more. And he's not got that long left, but it may be just enough here if he can start to figure something out. Joshua Watson, as long as he's been out front, you got to assume he saved all of his stuff, but you never know. Sometimes guys make mistakes early on and can cost him the late going. 20 laps in. Normally we would take a side-by-side break. We already did our side-by-side breaks tonight, and we're making sure that we keep the action here for the rest of the way. Here's the 48 of Tyler Marble. He is currently sitting in 12th. Started second. Overall, not the run he was maybe looking for. Good-looking paint scheme, though, nonetheless, tonight. Bringing home a top 15 is certainly not going to hurt him too bad in points, as it looks like the 3 of Todd Shearer. Not sure if he got loose. Thought initially he was going to be going down to the pits. This pit road's interesting, though. Depending on where you run, you have to start slowing down before you even get to turn 3. Where Joshua Watson is running right up by the wall right now. So what he's got to do, though, to keep the speed. And yeah, sure enough, Austin Fitzgerald, it's really just evened out. Let's take a look at the telemetry for these guys. 5th gear throughout the whole quarter. I'm surprised we're not seeing any shifting here at Darlington. This is actually one of the tracks that I kind of expected to see that at. And you can see Austin Fitzgerald is certainly pushing with all he's got right now. Not sure if it's going to be enough. 170 down into turn 1. Joshua Watson is also running in 5th gear here. Oh, did Austin Fitzgerald maybe get into the wall right there? Or was that the 3rd place car of Brian Curry? That might have been Brian Curry. Not sure. Definitely heard one of these guys tag it. And 19 laps to go. Still no pit stop. Boy, these lap times have really fallen off. Let's take a look and compare between your 2 leaders. 30.5s. We saw a little bit slower here earlier, but still slow overall. Compare that to Austin Fitzgerald. You see only 1 out of the last 5 laps has Fitzgerald actually been faster. And good news for Watson, bad news for Fitzgerald. But, oh, Watson's going to go ahead and, oh man, he must have hit the wall. He lost half a second. I thought maybe he was getting ready to bring down the pits. My goodness. I'm going to have to back this up and check it out. Sure enough, let's do so. Both drivers are going to stay out on track, not pit this time. He must have got a little too tight coming out of 2, rather, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Big wiggle. The 01 was still pushing hard and just a little too high. Gets into that wall, and now he's really loose. He's got to get out of the throttle to hold on to it, and that lost him over half a second. It's just little mistakes like that. He has not made much tonight, but just one more. And heck, Austin Fitzgerald could be knocking at the back door, looking to make a move. Don't want to put yourself in a position that you're going to have to maybe make a more aggressive block than you need to, potentially put yourself at risk getting in a wreck. We know Austin Fitzgerald with the win on the season is ready to put it all out there. So is Joshua Watson with 5 wins on the season. Jeff Marble is up to 6, and he's getting ready to be looking for a top 5, maybe even getting up to 4th or 3rd by the time this thing's all said and done. 16 laps to go, though. again, we have got to be thinking about pit stops soon, I would believe. Probably in the next, I would say 8 laps. You certainly don't want to pit within the final 5, I wouldn't think. I guess it depends on your strategy. At the same time, though, you could look at it as maybe they're in a rhythm now, and Joshua Watson wants to try to stay in that rhythm as long as he can before he has to come out of it for a pit stop. Austin Fitzgerald maybe looking to mimic the strategy. Brian Curry still stays out. Scott Glasso is in 4th. Jeff Marble has taken away that 5th position from Cody Colley. Andrew Nieder 7th to Jeffrey Souza has fallen back to 8th. Good run still. Cody Richardson up to 9th. Tom Bajari running at the top 10. Tyler Marble 11th. Bill Benedict 12th. Adrian Watts in 13th. Jeff Shep 14th. Matthew Gearinger in 15th. Going to be Danny Gutierrez 16th. Jared Bundy 17th. Jacob Musso 18th. Tracy Powers 19th. Scott Naslin in 20th. Jerry Isaacs 21st. Kyle Oakley 22nd. Johnny McCulchuk 23rd. Cody Matthews 24th. Brian Conklin 25th. 26th is going to be Todd Shiro. Brett Spade 27th. Glenn Grigsby 28th. 29th. Carl Dotson 30th is going to be Ryan Haynes. 31st. Sean Kaltenbach 32nd. Joe Musso. Richard Elliott 33rd. Everyone else on back, including Joe Owen, Brian Watson, Andrew Kotska, and Dave Sanders are all off track. That was the final time we're going to run through the grid tonight. And at this point, I think Austin Fitzgerald's best hope is going to be either a mistake from Joshua Watson entering the pits or lap traffic. And speaking of lap traffic, I don't know if he's going to catch, looks like still a couple before this race is all said and done, but that big bulk of it, which you see towards the end of the front straight, now 1 and 2. Don't think he's going to catch them in time, but little loose there. Joshua Watson is certainly still fighting the handling of that 01 machine, although he continues to run so fast and out front. He's right on board here. Oh man, got the dirty air of that 10 car. That got a little sketchy, and that is a bad line. Cody Matthews to run in this case. Looks like he does pull over though. It might cost him just a little bit. I think he's going to be okay. Cody Matthews with a decent run tonight, top 25 and 24th. 12 laps to go as of right now. Doesn't look like maybe we'll get the most exciting Darlington finish. Certainly not like the ones that we've continued to see in real life. But overall, even at this point, if we were to get a caution, hats off to everybody in here tonight for the job that they did at easily, I would say, one of the hardest to drive tracks, if not the hardest to drive track in all of NASCAR, at least in terms of ovals. Again, 2 wide here is a hard thing to do. 3 wide, forget about it. I don't think we saw it once tonight. In fact, I don't think we had 2 wide action for more than maybe half a lap or so at a time. But Joshua Watson has got out here, prevailed. Austin Fitzgerald still digging in the background. But that gap that closed up after the mistake by Watson has now extended back to almost a second. And at a certain point, Joshua Watson, I think, is going to say to himself, all right, I can start to cruise a little bit from here. Austin Fitzgerald, on the other hand, maybe he's finally used his stuff up. He has been pushing for a while, and you can only push so long before it's too late. Hometown Las Vegas, well, that's where I'm going to be headed on vacation next week. Austin will be racing there as I'm there, I'm assuming. Either way, fun little fact. Las Vegas is a fun place to go to. I encourage everybody to check it out. Sin City, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Well, what happens in Darlington is not going to stay in Darlington. It's going to create some more momentum for the 01 of Joshua Watson. And just as we say that, caution is out. Who is it for here? Looked like it was down into turn 1. Couldn't figure out the exact cause of it just yet. We're going to have to go take a look. Man, it's been a clean night. All of a sudden, though, a late caution can certainly make things crazy. I guess I did give it the announcer jinx. Overall, though, I'm still proud of everybody, hoping that we can keep it pretty clean. Let's see if we can find where this wreck is going to occur. Looking throughout the track here, it looked like it was somewhere in 1 and 2. Couldn't tell. That's what we're looking through here to see if we can find whoever it was. Oh, there you go. Oh, man, that's the 10 of Cody Matthews, who we were just noting was having a pretty good night. Top 25 run. That's looking like that's going to come to an end. Let's back this up. And that's the 4 of Scott Glasso, one of the leaders. So that's a tough break for the 4 as well. And it looks like 10. Oh, man. I'm not sure what happened to Scott Glasso. It looks like he just got in there way too hot. Just ran right up into the 10. Cody Matthews, nothing he could do. And then it backs up into the outside wall. That's where we're going to get a little more damage created. 10 goes for a couple loops here. I don't think either car got too much damage. In fact, Scott Glasso maybe got the worst of his. I think it's pretty surrounded to the back for Cody Matthews, and he's going to save himself from any more impacts. This was odd looking from the point of view of Scott Glasso. I mean, man, very aggressive. We'll have to take a listen to the throttle and right on board there. Not sure if he just didn't quite predict the closing distance or what, but man, that's odd to see, especially from one of the guys that had been running up front. Potentially ruins his own night in the process. I don't know, though. He was able to sink through it without too much damage. All right, let's ride on board here if we can find Scott Glasso. If we can get a good idea of what exactly happened here. He is still currently being scored 4th. All right, here we go. Let's take a listen. Man, just the closing speed was really great. You see right here. Yeah, I'll tell you what it looked like happened. He sent it in the normal line just as he had committed to the line. The 10 was still really far out in front. All of a sudden, he was too committed to the line, and on these older tires, you can't just turn back down the track. The 10 really slowed up, and Scott Glasso had nowhere to go running that line that he had committed to. I don't blame that on either driver, really. Just an odd incident. Nothing Cody Matthews could do, and same time, nothing that Scott Glasso could do. All right, going back up front. Excuse me. Your current leader is going to be Joshua Watson. He's led all the green flag laps, but now he's going to have to lead the hardest, probably 3 or 4 to go that we're going to have so far tonight. Austin Fitzgerald 2nd. Brian Curry 3rd. He had good short run speed. Scott Glasso still in 4th. Damage must not have been too bad. Jeff Marble up to 5th. Cody Colley 6th. Cody Richardson 7th. Jeffrey Souza 8th. Tyler Marble 9th, and Andrew Nieder rounding out the top 10. See if we can get a word. We like to mix things up. Let's see if we can find one of these guys that we don't normally talk to. See if we can't get a quick word. See if we can get a quick word from Scott Glasso, maybe, as he is still running pretty good position, and he was involved in that last incident. I'm looking for Scott Glasso right now. I'm not sure I'm going to actually be able to find him. I am not seeing him. I might be missing him, but I'm not currently seeing Scott Glasso. I'm going to look next for Cody Colley, and I'm not seeing him either. At a certain point, we're going to run out of options here. So on that note, how about we bring up... It's a tough choice. We need to start having everybody in the chat vote on who they want to talk to. Let's, I guess let's get Jeff Marble in here. Hey Jeff, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? All right, well, it's been overall a very clean race. Impressive job for everybody for a track like Darlington. But we know late restarts can get crazy. What do you think you're going to see here on this last one?
Really good car. Been stuck in bad track position all night long. Stuck on pit road again during the cycle. Lost 20 spots again. Hey, good luck out there. We're going to try to win this thing. I got to listen to the field here, the wave around, guys.
All right, good luck. Go get him. Always a busy man, of course, runs in his league, but also has to run the league. And here we go. They're going to pull off. Watch for Jeff Marble. Row 3, what can he do? What can your two leaders do? Will we see any contact? These two have been very respectful of each other all night, but now there's no more give. It's all take. Hopefully for the final time at Darlington, green flag is in the air. Pretty good even jump. This time Joshua Watson's not going to get it as easy as he has before. Can Austin Fitzgerald hold him, though? He's going to have the preferred line, and he's going to try to really send it in there. He's not quite going to be able to do it, but now he looks for a crossover. Joshua Watson does fend him off. They make it off of turn 2 clean. Watch further out back. More contact. A lot of guys bounce off the wall. Oh, man, we're going to have another caution here. Jeff Shutt further back. Big impacts. Looks like it doesn't collect too many people, but now this is going to send us into overtime, and this is that one downside of having a late caution at a track like Darlington is a lot of tracks, it's exciting, good racing. Darlington, everybody's trying to get as many positions as they can at the end, and just too narrow. All in all, that looked like we saw a couple guys just bouncing off the wall. It's my favorite camera view here because of that reason. And watch some of these views here. You're going to see Jeff Shutt up front. Scott Glasso bounced off the wall. Looks like Jeffrey Souza bounced off the wall. Jeff Marble dodges it. And then the 27, I'm not sure if he got tapped from behind after the wall hit, but either way, goes around, and then it's going to get T-boned pretty good. Oh, my goodness. But the 25 of Tracy Powers, who also net codes through him. Odd looking, and then he's going to go back down the track, tags Kyle Oakley. Jerry Isaacs somehow avoids all of it. Kyle Oakley does get pretty big damage from it. All right. Brings out the 4th caution of the night. Let's go back live. And this time, everybody's getting ready. You know what? Joshua Watson, he took the bottom. He got it. Boy, Austin Fitzgerald was really, really close. He couldn't quite make it happen. And, you know, I kind of wonder if you're Austin Fitzgerald, you rethink your strategy here, because that's not the first restart we've seen. It seems like no matter how hard that outside line sends it in, just have not been able to hang with the 0-1 on that first set of corners. So maybe you try mixing it up a little bit. Try to jump in behind the 0-1, kind of let him have it. Stick with him, get the same run off of turn 2, and who knows, maybe you have something for 3 and 4. What better option, though, than to see if we can maybe ask him about it. Let's bring Austin Fitzgerald up here to the booth and get a quick word with him. Hey, Austin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, well, you have a win this season. You have a shot at another one right here, but you're going to have to outduel a very fast Joshua Watson. After that last restart, boy, we saw you give it everything. You couldn't quite hang on his quarter panel, though, into 1. Do you change up the game plan here, or do you try the same thing?
Well, you know, he's getting into 1 pretty hard there to try to, you know, pass me, clear me. But I thought I saw an opportunity to, you know, cross him over there. I mean, I don't know. I'll give it my best coming up here, see if I could get a run off of 2. But, you know, Josh is fast and he's super aggressive. So I really don't know. I'll give it my best. But, man, Joshua Watson's super fast.
Well, either way, it has been a very good, clean run. You've had long run speed. You've had short run speed. Keep that thing clean, and hopefully you can finish on the podium here tonight.
Thank you, Austin.
And that is Austin Fitzgerald. And sure enough, he is now in the Dynamic Autosport chat with his teammate Alan Pajari. That was a new change this week. See it there in the top right of the driver info. All right, so, I mean, he said basically what we saw, that Joshua Watson is making sure he sends it in pretty hard to get clear. It's a tough battle. I mean, these have been 2 of the stallions of the field tonight, if you will, and they certainly don't want to tear each other up. Austin Fitzgerald was very respectful, and he said Joshua Watson is very fast and very aggressive. He's going to see what he can do here, and I'm interested to see what he can do as well. It's going to be our first overtime. Rules for overtime: if we take the white flag, this race will be official. However, if we get a caution, we can rack them up and try it again. We'll see if we get the 1-to-go signal this time. And it looks like, sure enough, we are. The lights go off on the pace car. All right. We got 3 attempts at it. We're going to give the first one a shot right here. Joshua Watson first, Austin Fitzgerald second, Brian Curry in third. It's going to be Scott Glasso fourth, followed by Jeff Marble in fifth, Cody Richardson sixth, and Cody Colley rounding out the top 7, making up row 4. All right. Going to be crazy, man. I don't know who I got my money on at this point. A lot of times I can kind of take a guess, but there's just so much chaos that's still going to happen. The hardest part here is going to be everybody getting off of turn 2 clean. Again, we talk about it. There's some bumps. It really narrows up on the backstretch. Everything washes up to the top. And with everybody having to run, well, they can't run the same line on the restart. The top's trying to dive back down. The bottom's got to come up. It usually creates a little chaos. We saw it on the first restart. Had a lot of cars bouncing off that outside wall. We will see if we see it again here on take number 2. Excuse me, take number 1. Pace car's going to take that hard left turn. Here we go, potentially for the final time. This time at Darlington, Joshua Watson versus Austin Fitzgerald. Both have at least 1 win on the season. Brian Curry, he would like to steal one here. We'll see what he can do. Scott Glass looking for his first win as well. Green flag is back in the air. It's another pretty even jump. This time Joshua Watson gets a little bit more ahead. No push from the outside line. Nothing Austin Fitzgerald's going to be able to do right here. Actually, he tries to hang with him. Can't quite do it. And now he's got to contend with Brian Curry, who's on his outside. Off turn 2. This is where we look to see, can everybody hold it together? A lot of cars getting tight. They all keep it clean. This time, Austin Fitzgerald on the outside. Scott Glasso, I don't know if he had an issue or a black flag. He dives to the inside. Ooh, Austin Fitzgerald's going to get into the outside wall. Coming out of turn 4, he just wants to see the white flag. Joshua Watson, 1 more lap to go at Darlington. Takes the white flag. All he's got to do is put together 2 more sets of corners. The battle is out back. A lot of battling going on. Brian Curry has taken second. Austin Fitzgerald back into the outside wall. Can everybody hold it together here off of 2? The 74 fading in a hurry. The 28 gets clear. He's not going to have enough time, though, to get to the front. Well, you talk about dominance. This was something even greater than that. Joshua Watson, he led every single green flag lap tonight, at least that I counted, and he is going to win it at Darlington. Heck of a performance. He has won some thrilling ones It was thrilling overall tonight, but it was more dominance than anything else. How about Brian Curry? Good rebound as well. Finishes second. Austin Fitzgerald was able to hold on to third. Jeff Barber moves up to fourth. And Andrew Nieder rounding out the top 5. We are going to be getting interviews from you top 3 right after Joshua Watson gets over here and burns this thing down on the front stretch. He gets a couple congratulatory bumps and high fives out the window from his fellow racers. Man. Well, what seemed like a grueling race, and I thought maybe it would be a little bit more of a chaotic finish, ends in a very clean fashion. Joshua Watson making his way down the front straightaway, getting ready to burn it out in front of the fans here at Darlington. Gets it done in the throwback Jeff Gordon paint scheme. Again, I'm 90% sure that Jeff Gordon's got the yellow numbers. That's what we're going to roll with. And he collects his 6th win of the season. And I believe he may by now have more wins than everybody else combined. You got to wonder, will this dominance continue for the whole season? Will anybody be able to find something for the 0-1? All right, and we're going to start tonight off with your 3rd place finisher, Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, got a copy. All right, well, let me go ahead and unmute you real quick. All right, well, overall, man, good day. You did bring it home on the podium. I thought maybe you were going to hang beside the 0-1 there on the final restart, but it looks like you couldn't quite do it. What more did you need?
You know, I don't know what I could have done there, because Brian, 28 car, you know, he stuck it written right behind Watson. There's no way for me to get down, try to do something. When you come off a 2, I mean, it's that wall on the right side comes up so fast, and you just kind of have to let out the throttle. And at that point, you know, I guys passed me, and I was just in the thick of it. So it was just a matter of survival at that point.
Either way, you survived a very, well, pretty green race overall. You got to assume that you're going to take some momentum by bringing home a top 3 at a track as tough as Darlington. What's your game plan next week at the All-Star race? Do you try to qualify up front? You think it's going to be a mess? What are you thinking?
You know, in this league, everybody's so good. It's about qualifying up front and just, you know, staying out of all the chaos and all the traffic, and, you know, trying to stay in that clean air. And for me personally, it's about the long runs, and I prefer tracks that eat tires. So yeah, I definitely look forward to North Wilkesboro.
All right. Well, good luck next week, and congrats on the top 3 finish. But before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, this is my first week with Dynamic Autosports. Thank you to Alan Pajari for having me on the team. It's actually my first time being on a team, and Alan is the exact kind of guy, you know, I'd want to be on a team with, and everybody else on the team. Like, they're just, you know, just the camaraderie of everybody coming together and working on setups and everything. It's great, and I think it might maybe help me find that next step in my performance. And then Acoustic Design Systems, shout out to my sponsor. If you're in the Las Vegas area, you have any AV needs, head over to acousticdesignlv.com. Thank you to my wife Vanity and my girls Emma, Jane, and Indy.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, Austin.
All right, now we're going to move on to 2nd place finisher. I was going to say we'll see you next week, but of course I will not be here next week. And 2nd place finisher is going to be Brian Curry. Brian, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
All right, man. Well, you were due for a good run. Had a strong car here for quite a few weeks, but man, bad luck has caught you quite a few. Tonight, you bring home 2nd. You were very, very aggressive on that last restart. It seems like it panned out. What was the plan on that last restart, and how'd you execute?
Well, I knew that was the only shot, you know, we had at it. We weren't very good on the long run. Josh just, you know, pretty much ran away with it in that sense. But I don't know. I tried to make some adjustments on the last stop there, and it just kind of went too far, and it was just way too tight. Threw a block on Jeff there at taking the white, and I don't know. Apologize to him for that, but I really didn't want to go 3 wide into 1 there.
Well, it worked out either way. You bring home a second place finish tonight. Before I let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Thank teammates Sean and Andy, everybody at Team Watson Racing Setups, my beautiful wife Jennifer, my mom. Happy Mother's Day, a day late. My wife Jennifer, she's the best mom that my two little girls could ever ask for. So happy Mother's Day to her. Shout out to my parents watching at home, and everybody else who tuned in. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast, Jeff and Tyler for running the league.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for talking to us, and congrats on the second place finish.
Thank you.
Now we're going to bring in the winner. 6 wins on the season. How's that sound for Joshua Watson?
Oh man, that is awesome.
Well, I mean, man, you were so fast tonight. We've seen you. I mean, obviously 6 wins. We know you're fast in a lot of places. But from what I could see, you had to have led every single green flag lap. Maybe not a few, but I counted that you led every single green flag lap. You bring home the win and a throwback paint scheme as well. Man, how were you so fast tonight?
Just it's Darlington, and I absolutely love this track. This is a driver's track. You really gotta manage your throttle and hit your corners and your lines just right. And I've always liked this track, and this setup this week, provided by Ryko, and everything was just absolutely on rails. I was getting a little nervous there at the end with the restarts, because I know, if somebody's, I know Austin's really good on restarts, Brian's good, so that was getting a little nerve-wracking. But other than that, just this car was on rails all night. We could kind of do what we wanted to do, and just, managed our tires throughout the whole race, and was able to lead almost every lap, I believe, and bring home another win.
Well, normally I would have something else to ask you about in the race, but you were so dominant through it and didn't really have any hiccups. I don't think I have anything else. So on that note, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out tonight?
I'd like to thank all my sponsors, Ryko, everybody at JBR Racing, Glasgow Fire Department, Hoyt, Moultrie, Mayer Brothers, all those guys, my family, my girlfriend, my kids, Jeff and Tyler for putting on this awesome league. There's a lot of fast guys in this league, and to be able to come home with win number 6 on the season already is just a testament to this team, and how well we worked together. And putting our heads down last week was not a so good. I mean, it was a good race, but a terrible result. I got loose there at the end and got my teammate, and felt bad for that. But to be able to put our head down and rebound with a win is awesome. And I'd also like to thank you for, again, putting on an amazing broadcast. Butt Kicker, and I can't remember who the Noble sponsor is. I know I'm forgetting them, but those guys also. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to you, and just looking forward to next week again.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us. Good luck next week, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, well, there you go. That's your winner. Joshua Watson brings it home tonight in the 01 Throwback Machine. Second is going to be Brian Curry. Third, Austin Fitzgerald. Jeff Marble just outside the top 3, brings it home. Fourth, good finish overall for him. Fifth place is going to go to Andrew Nieder. Cody Colley, maybe a season high finish in 6th. Tyler Marble, 7th. Cody Richardson, 8th. Alan Pajari in 9th. Jeffrey Souza, 10th. Scott Nazel, 11th. Matthew Gearinger in 12th. 13th, Jared Bundy. 14th, Bill Benedict. 15th, Jeff Shutt. Jacob Musso in 16th, Johnny McCulchuk in 17th, Adrian Watson 18th, Scott Glasso in 19th, 20th is going to be Danny Gutierrez, 21st, Tracy Powers, 22nd, Jerry Isaacs, 23rd, Cody Matthews, 24th, Todd Shiro, 25th, Brian Conklin, 26th, Kyle Oakley, 27th, Brett Spade, 28th, Glenn Grigsby, 29th, Ryan Haynes, 30th, Carl Dotson, 31st, Sean Kaltenbach, 32nd, Joe Musso, 33rd, Richard Elliott, 34th, Joe Owen, 35th, Brian Watson, 36th, Andrew Kotska, and rounding out the field tonight, 37th is going to be Dave Sanders. Well, the next place that I do head on Ghost Racing Network is this Thursday. We are back with the PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series, and I'm telling you, I know a lot of you just tuned in for this series. If you have not checked that out, it's something you need to watch. That is by far one of the most exciting series that I've broadcast. It is at Talladega Super Speedway, the NASCAR trucks. We had a big Twitch streamer there last week, and we have 30-plus truck races each week with a lot of money on the line. Always fun to watch and commentate with Matthew Baker. Don't miss out on that. Until then, I hope everybody did enjoy. Appreciate you all so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.